Okay, now I'm going to talk about Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Okay, I was introduced to this back in the late 80s, because that's when it came out. A friend of mine had it. I remember going over his place, watching him play it. I saw all the bosses, all the palaces, but I never watched him work his way there. I always caught him when he was at one. I saw him fight every single boss except for the first one, and I never saw him fight Thunderbird either because he already beat that character, but no matter how many times I watched him fight Dark Link, he never won. I never saw him beat the game. He probably did, but I never witnessed it. Well, I rented the game. I only got past one palace, and then I tried getting to the second one. I don't think I won. But then I tried going to Death Mountain to get that hammer, because you can do that before you take on the second palace. I lost big time there. After that, I never wanted to play that game again. Years go by. I go to a game store in the mid-2000s. I see it. I'm like, Scott, get it. Beat it. Okay, you can do it. Bought it. Played through it. Was doing so well. Got all the levels up. Got every item. All I had to do was get to the 7th palace. I couldn't get to the 7th palace. That area was driving me crazy, and I lost my temper and just turned the game off. Didn't touch it. And then a decade went by. I go, you know what, Scott? Why don't you put that in there and just try it again? You're at the 7th palace. I put it in, turned it on. My game got erased. I lost. I was like, man, I don't want to go through that again. So I just turned it off, put the game up. And then another decade goes by. And I'm looking, I'm like, Scott, beat the dang game. Okay, beat it. Beat it. You've beaten almost every Zelda game you own. Well, no, I've beaten all the Zelda games that I own, except for that one. That's the only one that I own that I have not beaten. I don't own them all, but I've beaten all the ones that I do own. So I put it in, played through it at the end of July, and on July 31st, at 4:55 in the morning, I beat Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Oh, goodness. That was such a big relief. Well, the gameplay is different. This is a 2D action platformer. And it's not the overhand unless you're in the map. Well, the open world, you gotta venture around and go to these places, get items from villagers, go to the palaces, get an item, beat the boss. And then that's pretty much it. You do get experience points in this one. Level 8 is the highest you can get for attack, magic, and heart health. You do still have to find heart containers to get extra health. Yeah, those buffalo wings aren't settling too well. And those barbecue chips. Okay, I didn't eat healthy this time. Well, you also gotta get items outside. The hammer, getting at Death Mountain, is the biggest pain. But this time, it wasn't as hard as it was last time. I did die right when I got the hammer, but when you have it, you can then skip the whole thing to go, because I needed to get that thing for that potion for an extra potion. Oh man, this is one of those games that is literally a step-by-step game. You have to have certain items to move on. Unless you can find a glitch to get past it, you gotta play by the rules. That's probably the main reason why a lot of people do not go for this game too much. Not just because of the overhead, because of the 2D and everything. It's probably because a lot of people are like, I want to skip steps for the speed run. I'm like, just shut up and play through it. That's the whole point of this game, is to go step by step. And I don't mean in that sitcom kind of way. I remember that Susan Summers and what were the husbands? I don't remember. From the guy from Dallas, okay? Okay, well, Palace 1, of course, is the easiest. The first boss is Horsehead. He just has a mace attack. Get him in the head is how you beat him. Boss 2 is Helmet Head. He basically, you knock off one helmet, another one rises up. You knock off that helmet, his head rises up. the two helmets float around shooting fireballs at you. Basically, I found that if you get right behind him, you can actually beat him without any trouble. And whenever I did that, I unintentionally beat him in a record time. And I'm like, wait, I won? I was just like freaked out. That was an accident. Okay, boss 2. Okay, there's an enemy in the palaces that will drive you nuts. The Iron Knuckle, man, because of that shield that they do. They'll also have a sword. But the blue ones are the ones that I hate the most because they throw knives at you. But I didn't know there's a cheap way to beat them, and that's jumping towards them and slashing your sword because you get them on the top of the helmet, whatever, even when they raise their shield. If I would have known that, I would have probably whizzed through the game a lot faster instead of having to go down, up, down, up, down. And I'm like, man, will you get hit for crying out loud? The boss is a blue one that throws daggers, but this time he's riding a mechanical horse that just simply goes back and forth. You have to use the jump and point your sword down like the pogo attack. That's what I call it. And, well, when you get rid of the horse, you then have to fight the Iron Knuckle. So this is the only boss in the game where an advanced regular enemy is a boss. Level 4 is a wizard. And if you don't have the reflect spell, you're never going to win. This is one of those bosses that goes by the rule that you have to have an item in order to beat him. That's the reflect spell. You get it by getting this little boy that this old man lost and bringing him back, and then the wizard gives you the reflect spell. And whenever you do that, you still have to be careful because you duck down because the wizard always shoots his beam from his feet for some reason. And when it shoots down, you just duck down and let it hit your shield and it just bounces back and hits you. But you still have to be careful because he teleports around and he can come up behind you if you don't turn around fast enough. Or he can teleport right where you're standing, and if he touches you, you still take damage. Yeah, this is one of those games, another one of those games. Well, of course, it's one of those games where the enemy touching you automatically means you get hurt. Yeah, that really did not age too well. Oh, yes, it did, Scott. Yes, it did. Smack, smack. Okay. Level 5. This level was different from the disc version, because originally you just do a rematch fight against Horsehead and Helmet Head, but they removed that for the NES version, replaced it with this character that they say is a Minotaur, but no, he's not. It's more like a barbarian-looking character that has a spiked helmet. He louches. He's got a big belly. This is a human, okay? Human. He ain't a Minotaur. He actually, to me, is the hardest boss in the game because I could not find a cheap way to beat him. You just have to time jumping towards him, hitting him, and moving away and jumping it back. Because he has a ball and chain, he swings it, then he'll lash it out. It's his only attack, but still, he kind of... I had to do the most rematches against this guy. And when I was just screaming and just attacking him, just, going crazy. And I actually beat him. Yeah, it was one of those cases where you're like, die! Oh my goodness gracious, I won! Yeah! Okay. The 6th level... The palace is actually kind of challenging in an annoying way, but the boss is pretty easy. As long as, okay, there's lava pits. There's 3 platforms you can be on. Just stay in the middle one. The boss is this serpent dragon that rises up, shoots a number of fireballs, and lowers down. That's it. But as long as you stay in the middle, stay in the middle one. If he rises up, to me, on the one side, when he's rising up, or if he's lowering down, that's the best time to attack him. But if you stay in the middle one, that means you always have access to the other platforms to jump on. That's that's the best way to beat him. Now, if you do the pogo, you can actually beat him very quickly if you do that, but you have to make sure that whenever you're pogoing on his head, don't go too far because Link will kind of move if you actually press the direction. And if you do it too much, he'll go into the lava, which means instant death. But you gotta make sure you got to get him right back. I saw it on a quick play, but I didn't want to try that because that looked too frustrating. So I did it my way, and my way actually worked okay as well. It does take longer, but you can do it without getting hit if you do it. So in the end, out of all the 6 bosses, the 5th one's the hardest. And he was the character that was originally not going to be in the game. He was just added. Yeah. The 7th palace, okay, getting there is actually harder than the palace, but, okay, I think I rushed it. I was just desperate to get there. But whenever I got there, boy, was I happy. Because the 7th palace is the only palace that actually has a checkpoint. This is a game that goes by the rule that everything that you've gotten, you get to keep if you use up your 3 lives and have to continue. But you always go back to the beginning of the game, and you have to go back to those palaces. Now, when you're playing a palace, if you die and still have lives, all the enemies that you beat, not all of them, but a number of them, will remain gone. But if you continue, they come back. The 7th palace is the only place in the game that actually is a checkpoint. If you die in the 7th palace by continuing, you restart at the beginning of the 7th palace. The enemies will reset, but at least you don't have to work your way back there. So there's one checkpoint in the entire game. That's the final area. That's your reward for getting to it. Okay. The unicorn heads, to me, that go up and down like the Medusa heads, they're the best way to stock up on experience points. And every time you kill 6 of them, you get a potion bottle, magic bottle, to refill magic, where you can use to refill your life. So that's what I was doing when I was in there. I was like, I gotta get my magic, I gotta get some of my health back up, and all that. And it does take a while, but eventually it does pay off. Now, whenever it comes to the 7th boss, well, there's 2 bosses. Now, the 6th palace does have a rematch fight against the 3rd boss, just in 2 different sections. So that's the only, but of course, the 3rd boss is a regular enemy. So of course it would make sense that they just use that one twice. Okay, this one, first you have to take on Thunderbird. Now, before you go to the palace, you have to go to the village that has these floating eyeballs, but you need to cross from the 6th palace to be able to see them, because they're also in the path to get to the 7th palace. Thunder is what you get at that village. Once you get it, you have to use it when you fight Thunderbird, who is the 7th boss. There we go. When Thunderbird appears, Thunderbird is red. You use the Thunder spell, which takes off a lot of your magic. He turns blue. Thunderbird has to be hit. That's when the face reappears, but it's really the head sets. What it's wearing on its head is what you have to hit. Now, Thunderbird shoots a lot of fireballs and floats around. It floats up, then it floats down. You have to jump up and hit the head. Now, you can use the super jump spell to get higher. You can use the shield to get, make your energy go down slower. But no matter how hard I tried, I just could not get this thing's energy all the way down. I did get about enough where it starts shooting fireballs like no tomorrow. That's whenever I lost my temper and I turned the game off. I said, I'll finish that tomorrow. But then I looked at the computer and said, maybe there's a video with a cheap way to get it. And I found out, just stay in the left corner and use the Thunder spell, and then use the super jump. Now, the guy on the video said he can't hit you. You just got to walk all the way into the corner, then turn and face this way right when Thunderbird appears, but stay still, and Thunderbird will stay right there. And if you use and then you can just jump up and keep hitting Thunderbird in the headdress. But whenever I first did that, for some reason, the Thunder spell didn't work, so I couldn't hit the sucker, so I just simply said, screw it, kill me. Then I tried it again, and I'm hitting Thunderbird. I'm like, all right, finally. But then I got hit. I'm like, wait a minute, the guy said you can't get hit. Well, I guess he was wrong, but staying in that corner kept Thunderbird, and that means the fireballs got limited, where they were more easy to avoid. So I just simply put the shield and the super jump, and just kept jumping up and hitting him, and then I beat Thunderbird, and I had to go take on Lane's Shadow. Now, my friend back in the late 80s, he always just tried taking him on the way head on and everything, the honest way. But after watching Angry Video Game Nerds Level, when I saw the ending where you just duck down the right corner, no, the left corner. Okay, right corner for Thunderbird, left corner for Dark Lake. Okay, when you're facing the TV, is it facing you? Is your left really its right? That's usually what the issue is. Let me correct my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers video. You go right, not left, and you don't go to the left, okay? I fixed my beep. There, fine. There, you happy? Okay. I decided I'm not in the mood for this. I want to beat this game. I'm gonna beat this game. So I just got in the left corner, ducked down, and beat him, and I get to say that I defeated Dark Link on my first try. By using the cheap tactic, which not the honest way, because I just wanted to beat the game. And, oh goodness. Now, the ending is very short. It's just nothing more than Link watching Zelda wake up after he uses all 3 Triforces, and the curtain goes down, and then it stops a little bit, just says the end, and it goes all the way down, and it rises back up, I believe, so the end credits can believe. Then you do the, okay, they say it's a second quest. It's not a second quest. It's the New Game Plus. So you just get to keep all the stuff you got at the villages, but all the items you collected in the palaces and other areas, you gotta recollect those all again, but your levels always will stay the same, like level 8, everything will remain the same, but it's just a New Game Plus. It's not a second quest. I don't know why it says that it's Zelda Wiki. There is no second quest in Zelda 2. It's just a New Game Plus. Now, the story is, I probably should have gone on this at the beginning, but according to what I read, I always thought it was just a magician put a sleep spell on Zelda, so Link has to go to these palaces to get to put these stones in these places, so we go to this one palace to get the Triforce of Courage to wake her up. And that magician you see that whenever before you face Darkly, I thought that was the magician that put Zelda in the sleep spell. Why was I wrong? Mainly because I never had the manual, and well, for some reason I elected not to read the plot summary. It turns out that is actually the original Zelda, who is centuries old. And Link is the chosen one to wake her up. And the only reason, and it turns out all the other Zeldas were named after her because of her brother at that time period, so that her name could live on. And the magician that put her in that sleep spell, that was a long time ago, so he's kind of already gone. He's only like in the instruction manual. He's not even in the game. So Link has to go to all these go through Hyrule, defeat all these characters that you get for like a trial. Basically, what I read is all those palaces, those are not villains. Those are actually just, this is a part of the trial Link has to take in order to prove that he is worthy of the Triforce of Courage. And it says Ganon's minions are after him because after he killed him, apparently he planned ahead. He taught his minions that if they put Link's blood on his ashes after they kill him, it will cause his resurrection, because every time you get a game over, it says Ganon lives, and you always hear his evil laugh at the end. Oh, goodness. That's the only time Ganon appears in the game. Now, his minions, what I read, are the only that face outside on the map, but every time you go in something like a palace, or I'm guessing maybe even maybe Death Mountain or the Path to the Seventh Palace, those are Ganon's minions. I don't know that for sure if those are the ones, but I do know the ones on the map, that those 3 shadow-like figures that always come after you, those are his minions. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, I would have preferred if all of them would have been Ganon's minions, including the characters in the palace. That would have worked better, and I wish the magician was that old man. He worked for Ganon as well, and just goes by the rule that he's 6 links, and probably after you defeat your shadow, you defeat him and take the Triforce Fest. That's what I would have preferred, because to me, the fact that all this is really a trial that Link has to go through in order to prove that he is the one, I just don't go for that storyline. I know there's nothing I can do about it, but I just don't like it that much. I like it kind of the way I remember it, the way I believed back then, but oh boy, that's what happens when you don't have access to a manual, and whenever the information is available, you choose to ignore it until after you beat the dang game. So I didn't finally find out until like August 1st, the day after I beat it, when I finally said, I'm going to read through the plot summary. Seriously? Seriously? That's the story? Dang, talk about a letdown. Well, anyway, outside the story, I think it's a great game. I've always heard people call this the black sheep of the series, but I think either Majora's Mask or Skyward Sword or maybe Breath of the Wild deserve that. I did like Breath of the Wild, but I didn't think it was as great as everybody kept making it out as. I think it is one heck of an overrated game. I flat out hated Skyward Sword because I did not like the motion stuff. And Majora's Mask, I thought the game, I didn't hate it, I just didn't like it. But yeah, I cannot understand why those 3 games have been labeled the greatest in the series. And I'm like, no, I would play Zelda 2 over those 3 games anytime. Ugh, goodness, but Zelda 2 is underrated big time. yes, it can be frustrating in some areas, but it's still fun. And in the end, I think it is a 10 out of 10 video game. I will say the people who made it, 2 thumbs way up. And I hope this game gets a... I actually would prefer if you guys would consider remaking the first and second game. And probably even doing I don't know, maybe another one in 8-bit that acts as a third installment. I understand Zelda 2 is legally the final installment in one timeline, but still, I wouldn't mind another one. You can go by the rule. You can switch graphics. You can either play it in switch styles, or you can either play it as like The Legend of Zelda or Zelda 2. Be pretty cool. Well, maybe someday, but I doubt it's gonna happen. But in the end, if you haven't played Zelda 2, I recommend it.